All right, we are gonna start our birch tree painting. So I'm gonna start by giving you a piece of this blue painter's tape. And so you can use this tape. We're gonna tape down on our paper to keep those areas white for our birch trees. So I can have some short, I can have some tall. I can actually come through and I kind of want to go off the page here. And I can have some, I can actually cut it to make it thinner. Maybe I want a thinner tree. Maybe I want a stump. Maybe I want a tree that has fallen over. Okay, so what I can do is take this, put a little piece down on the table, and I'm going to cut up it to make some skinnier trees, because not all birch trees are the same thickness. So we want to use my tape to kind of make it a little, show the difference. So let's see this one. Now I'm going to make them go off the edge of my paper up this way, but I'm going to stop them down here because I'm actually going to draw the ground. I'm going to do kind of like a wintry snow. Down here I might have one that's fallen over. I'm going to maybe make this one not exactly straight. Oh, and you know what else I could do? I could cut a couple branches. Something kind of like this. Let's rip that one. Branch over here. Let's cut this one. So I'm using my tape. I'm drawing with tape basically. And what's going to happen is where the tape is, my paint won't go. So that way it will become, it'll keep the page white. So that will become my trees. All right, I think I want maybe this one in front of that one. Yeah. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I kind of want something else over here. Let me take one more and cut it to make the last thin one. So again, I push a little piece down, hold it up, cut it down the middle. Okay. We'll have a shorter, maybe I'll make it up here a little higher, and this will be kind of my hill down here. And then I could add a shorter one. So this one's gonna look like it's way back in there. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna make this longer. Kind of like that. And I can actually have one look like a stump down here. Cut it off. Maybe that'll be a little stump there. A couple more branches so they're not so straight up and down. Okay, got it how I want it. I'm gonna come in with my Sharpie next, or you can do it in pencil. And I'm gonna actually add some lines here, and this is going to be like the ground or the hills that my trees are, just because I want to know where my ground starts and my sky stops. So these are kind of my hills down here, and this guy ground needs to come back there, right? Because that guy's falling on the ground. So here's my hills. And then what I'm gonna do now is I have these cool watercolor crayons here that I'm going to create my sky. So there's a couple things you can do. You could do a sunset, you could do a nighttime sky, you could do like a galaxy kind of sky. I'm gonna do kind of like a early morning, sun's just rising. So I'm going to start with yellow, and I'm just going to color kind of all the way up, kind of midway up, I should say. Oops, push that guy down. So I'm starting where my horizon line is, which is where the sky meets the land. Okay. And then I'm going to go into orange. And I'm going to kind of overlap these two. So when I add my water, it'll kind of blend in to make a nice yellow-orange. So overlap that a bit. Okay, then I'm going to go into red. And then I think I'll finish with purple. Okay, let's get, I think this one's purple. It looks kind of brown, but it's actually purple. Okay, all right. So then what I'm going to do, I have this cool thing called a reservoir brush. So what that means is that it's empty in here and it can hold water. So I don't actually need a water cup to paint. So it's kind of cool. So what I'm going to do is kind of down here in this lower part, I'm going to kind of press and actually, oops, that one came out. Water will actually come out. So then it will turn my watercolor crayon that we just used into paint. Okay, but the thing is, I don't want it to bleed in too much. So actually, let me grab, I need a paper towel, which I don't have a paper towel. So I'm gonna use this rag over here to blot my brush off because I don't want it to get too messy and bleed all over the place into my yellow. So actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do all my yellow first. Excuse me. So I'm just kind of lightly pressing, kind of going up into the orange there. So a little bit of water is coming out and it's turning that cool watercolor crayon into watercolor. Okay, I might want to, I'm just using a little rag over here to blot my brush off, kind of like that. I don't want it to be too muddy of waters, kind of messy mixing of paint. I want to try and keep it nice and clean. So I can bring it down a little bit to blend in. Then I come over here and do this one. And if you notice you're running out of water, we can easily take the brush part off and fill it back up with water. And a little bit of water goes a long way, so you don't have to press too hard. If you press too hard, you're going to get a lot of water all at once, and that you won't want that. It could potentially put a hole in your paper, so. Okay, I'm going to clean my brush off again with my rag or my paper towel. And let's go into the purple. Blend it kind of down into my red. So now I have a nice kind of sunrise or sunset. You could do a nighttime sky with all blues. A little green in there if you want. I actually think I'm going to put blue down here at the bottom to make it look kind of like icy or kind of snow down there. Okay, so I got that. And actually what I can do if I want to change my color completely, like to blue down here, I can actually rinse this off in a water cup or in the sink just to really get it cleaner. Okay, so then I'm gonna switch. I think I'm gonna use some blue down here at the bottom just to give it a hint of kind of frosty or frozen snow maybe. So just a little bit. And then what we'll do is we'll actually come in after this all dries and we will add a shadow to it, okay? So I'm gonna come in and add a little bit of blue down here. Now I don't want it everywhere. I do wanna leave some white so it'll look kind of like snow. Just a little hint of blue. Okay. All right, so I'm not worried about the tree shadows just yet, but I do want to peel my tape off kind of while it's still wet. So the trick of this is to go very, very slowly and kind of pull at an angle because it can rip your paper. So we gotta go nice and slow. See if we can peel this one up. And I kind of want to pull it close to the paper. Nice. Okay, can make a little pile of that over here. Same thing, maybe I'll start up here, might be easier. I want to pull it close to the paper and slowly. I come back and grab that guy. Slow and close to the paper. Okay, and you can see that it left my paper white where the tree is. So this is going to become our birch tree. Once it dries, we'll come back and add the black part of a birch tree, and we'll add our shadows for our trees. Oops, see, I can see I went too fast. See how it starts to rip my paper? Just go nice and slow. Try to kind of pull it at an angle. Oops, and I got a little paint in my tree. That's okay. We can cover that up with black later. My little fallen tree, my stump. Slow. That one ripped a little too, that's okay. All right, almost done here. Perfect. Okay, all right, we're gonna let this guy dry and then we'll come back and add some black, the contrasting parts of the birch tree, and then we'll add some shadows for our trees also, okay? But let's let it dry. All right, to finish our birch trees, I'm gonna use a little black chalk or charcoal, and I wanna add a shadow. So right now the sun is kind of setting behind my trees, so my shadow would actually come straight down. So I'm gonna add just like a little bit of black kind of at the base of every one of my trees. Just a little bit, not anything too crazy. And a little bit under this fallen tree over here. And then what I'm gonna do is kind of just use a finger and kind of brush it down so that it's, or kind of smooth it down, blend it down so that it looks kind of like a shadow. Okay, and then I can also use this to add some detail, some like a little bit of outlining maybe. And birch trees have that cool kind of really stark contrast of black areas. I love it because they're black and white. So I'm going to come in and add a couple little kind of marks here and there, especially down here because it kind of looks like we can't tell if it's a tree or not. A couple little marks here, maybe a couple little marks there for our birch tree. Okay, I want to make sure I do that on each tree. I can blend it a little bit. I could also, if I wanted to, do this part with Sharpie. That works too. Kind of up to you for the look you want. Mine looks a little more kind of shaded. Oop, I got it in my yellow. Kind of more smudgy, more a little messy, and that's okay. If you want it to be a little bit neater lines, you could use a Sharpie for that. So again, I'm just kind of making the little marks of the birch tree. Don't forget my stump here. All right, and then I have my birch tree kind of sunset painting. I actually might make some of these a little longer because these trees are tall, so it would actually go all the way, whoops, off the paper. Okay. Oh, you know what I can do? Well, how dirty my hands are. I need a clean finger. And just keep making my yellow messy. All right, I think I got it how I like it. You know what? Maybe a little more over here. It's good to stand back and look at your finished artwork. See if there's anything you need to add. And to me, that was so white right there. It looked not quite like a tree. So I'm going to add a little more black in there. Okay. All right. Now I think I got it how I like it. Perfect.